Good evening. This is Table Talk. I'm Paul Beaulieu. With me are Tracie Washington and Blayne Bondy. Good to have you guys. This is our inaugural show of Table Talk. What we will try to do is to bring to you the hot issue of the week, provide you with analysis, commentary, and insight into what we think is important about this issue. In our first show, we'll be talking about President Obama's health care plan, which has been in the news, Blayne and Tracie, for the past 2 or 3 weeks, if not even longer. And sometimes the president is up, sometimes he's down on the issue. But perhaps we can start getting from you guys, what are the major components of this health care reform? What are we looking at and what are we contending over? Blayne, let's start with you.
Well, I think the first thing is getting costs under control. It's no secret that healthcare costs have been escalating over the last couple of years. Right now, currently, 1 out of every $6 spent in the United States economy goes towards healthcare, and the projections are by 2017 that will rise to 1 in 5, meaning that it'll make up almost 20% of the U.S. economy. And I think that is one of the pressing issues that the United States is facing as it pertains to health care. As well, I think uninsured people obviously is the other major component, and people are wondering how they can keep their health care.
What does the president want?
Well, I think one of the biggest concerns, but what the president wants, is to ensure that individuals have affordable and accessible health care coverage. When you are spending 1 out of 6 of your dollars on health care, you know that small businesses and even larger businesses cannot be competitive on the global economic stage because our health care costs are just too high. And small businesses and medium-sized businesses are faced with either cutting health insurance coverage for employees completely or cutting back so significantly that their employees just can't afford it. So we've got to deal with the fact that we've got a significant portion of our populace in the United States that is not covered by insurance at all. And then we have to deal with that other portion of the population that is really concerned if you lose a job, you are not going to be able to keep your health insurance. And pre-existing conditions, which travel along for so many people, consider the people, especially in Louisiana, who are diabetic, who have hypertension issues. Those are considered pre-existing conditions, and they're not covered when you move from one job to the other. So these are all significant issues that people are facing with health care.
You would think that everybody would be on the same page when it comes to everybody having affordable health care. Yet there are bones of contention, politically. If this is going to be done, the president has to do it, obviously, politically. If I'm not mistaken, he has to get Congress to forge it and come out with a health care plan. What do you see as the bones of contention? What are the opponents to Obama's and what is he saying?
Well, right now,
in response to that?
Currently in Congress, there's pretty much 2 versions being disseminated. And believe it or not, most of the president's problems are coming within his own party. And it all pertains to, there's a conservative group, obviously, the Blue Dog Democrats, as they're referred to, who want to see certain costs capped out as far as the monies that the government will help to subsidize the programs. Under both measures right now, currently going through Congress, both are proposing families that make up to $88,000 a year would still qualify for subsidies. Well, the Blue Dog Democrats are saying, no, we want to cap that $66,000. So within the Democratic Party, there is some negotiations that have to take place before, even it'll get to a vote. I think that once they've smoothed out those issues, I think all of the rest of the issues will kind of come into play. But right now, most of the fuss seems to circulate around the subsidies that will be associated with these with the health care reform. I think Right now, the numbers are roughly $773 billion will be spent in subsidies between 2013 and 2019. The numbers are looking, under the current bill, the subsidies will be capped at the limits on what your out-of-pocket expenses would be is $5,000 per individual, $10,000 per family. There's then that's in the House. In the Senate, it's more like $6,000 per individual, $11,600 in out-of-pocket expenses. So it's most of the disagreements right now, as we've seen, seem to circulate around money.
But does it come down, in layman's terms, Tracie, big business, big insurance companies making obscene amounts of money versus the little man who can't afford to keep subsidizing those obscene amounts of money that big business is making?
Well, I think
isn't that simple?
It is and it isn't. I think it is in this regard. As the economy has progressively, declined, and we've entered this recession, I think we found more people in the United States suffering from this lack of affordable health care, where people who normally or who had in the past worked and had insurance through their employer, I think that the numbers are just daunting, those individuals who now are without health insurance. And so while President Obama has been hesitant to allow our Congress members to go home during a recess before voting on health care, I think one of the problems and maybe even one of the benefits that these congressional 535 members of Congress may see by going home is actually hearing from their constituents to understand, $5,000 individually and $10,000 for a family can wipe us out. $12,000 in health care costs out of pocket can wipe out a family, especially a family where someone has lost a job or you've got a single parent family. And so I'm concerned, Paul, that folks aren't listening up in Washington, D.C. They're not hearing what people are suffering through. Just normal, everyday, as you said, big business versus the individual, what the normal individual who is living paycheck to paycheck and who might not have health insurance is struggling through. And that is what I think President Obama needs to continue to have the town hall meetings about, so that he's hearing back from folks in the town hall meeting, and that message is getting to the congressional leaders.
Is he pushing hard enough? I mean, we have a Democratic Congress. Supposedly everything is set for the Democrats. Is the president pushing hard enough politically?
Well, I think he is. I think part of the problem, though, is the message that's being disseminated is getting convoluted. One, you have different measures in the different branches of Congress, okay? Then you have the rhetoric from the opponents who are just, they're targeting certain issues. They have speaking points, and they're trying to, I guess, get their opposition up and on, so to speak, to bring opposition when these members of Congress return home very soon for the break. Recently, the Congressman Gao, said that they don't want abortion to be funded in these measures. Well, there's a host of other issues that this health care reform is approaching, but they're sticking to certain hot-button issues that they think will distract the constituents away from other issues. According to the Washington Post ABC poll that was recently conducted, over 83% of people are satisfied with their current health care. Over 81% are satisfied with their providers. But over 50% of Americans believe that we need health care reform. So what that says is people want to make sure that they have the best possible options, and whatever takes place is not going to take away from what they currently have. A lot of people seem to think that these decisions are going to actually rest on the insured.